Hello, viewers. I'm your friend Khaleeq. Today, we are adding up some topics related to aviation safety on ground as well as in air. The idea behind to stay more conceptual while working in your relevant aviation field. Of course, you need to join institute for proper certification. So let's start with dangerous good, DG. Commonly, we say DGR. We use the word. R stand for regulation. And to follow the regulation, we have this manual. The latest version always be available with the airline, institute, GHAs, and GSAs. These are the table of contents which you will study and practice in detail during your certification training. Why we call dangerous good? What does it mean exactly? Substances which are capable of posing risk to health, safety, property, environment, and are shown in the list of dangerous goods. Here is the list. You can see it contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 classes. These are the classes name: explosive, flammable gases, flammable solids, and self-reactives. Number 5 is oxidizer. 6 is toxic liquid and solids. 7 radioactive. 8 corrosive, and 9 miscellaneous. You can you can take all 9 into two group as well. Numbers, as you can see, number 7 is radioactive material, and 1 to 6, 8 and 9, those are non-radioactive. So radioactive and non-radioactive. Here you can see the divisions. Some of the divisions are forbidden for air transport. Some of them we can carry, for example, in class 1 under the special permission, and we have to follow the regulation as described in dangerous goods manual. Here you can see the IMP codes. What does that mean? IMP stands for, these are IATA cargo interchange message procedure, EDI based to automate and standardize data exchange between airlines and other parties like GHAs and GSAs. We will use them off and on during our training session, rather say coaching session. The thing to be noticed here, in class 7, there is no division, but they have a category. Category 1, white, 2 and 3, yellow. The label we use, this thing is being placed accordingly. So 1 meaning low radiation or low level exposure, 2 medium radiation or medium level exposure, and 3 of course the high radiation or level exposure. We will discuss a little bit more into next. Now we have a question: why do we transport DG by air? Here we have following reasons. Number 1, of course, the location. Some of the location like where it can only be transported through air, meaning through aeroplane. Second, of course, the demand, where we have a time limitation, and this has to be reached very quickly over there, I mean, within short period of time. And in that case, the air transportation is the best option. Third, of course, the money. Customer pay high price for transportation of any kind of dangerous goods. You have to remember one thing. In all cases, safe transportation of DG play a vital role and can be nicely achieved if we strictly follow number one, correct classification. We have seen this one on the list. No prohibited items shipped, that you can find out from DG manual. Use of proper packing and observe quantity per package limitation. This you will study in detail during your training. Correct declaration of DG helps in proper handling. Of course, this is very important. Otherwise, if there will be something hidden or not declared, can pose a very high risk, not only on ground but also in the air. Proper checks of hidden hazards, like I mentioned, captain must be notified because he's the person in command during the entire air transportation. Correct marking, labeling, documentation, and checks. We will read them in detail after some time. Staff trainings and stay up to date. This is also very important. Otherwise, if the staff is not up to date or it has not taken proper training, then industry might face a disaster at some stage. Keep in mind, there are four ways to ship DG, dangerous goods, by air. What are them? What are those? As you can see, the first one is CAO, cargo aeroplane only. Of course, this must be carrying a high risk. The passenger and cargo is kind of medium and low risk item substances, I must say. Limited quantity, meaning it has less hazard, and it require some standard packing, but it will not be as strictly as normal UN approved packing. Of course, it requires hazard labels. We will read hazard labels and handling labels. What are they in our next uh, next discussion? And REQ, very less hazard. These are accepted quantities, very small quantity with no UN approved packages and hazard label. Do we require NOTOC for this one? Of course not. Do we require DG for this one? DG checklist or DGD, dangerous good declaration? Of course not. You will see on the next stage. Labels. When we talk about the labels, we have two kinds of labels available: hazard, one indicating hazards, and the other one is handling. How they appears like or looks like. For hazard labels, as you can see here, these are all hazard labels. according to class and divisions. And here you can see the handing labels. See, handing labels and the hazard labels. Hazard labels always be in diamond shape, and handing labels square or rectangular shape. Remember, dangerous goods may carry multiple risks as well, and they are called primary and secondary hazard. So, of course, to identify them, we need to use more than one hazard labels. The first one, of course, always be placed on the left side, wherever or over the box surface, and that will indicate hazard primary, and the labels next to them, diamond shape, will represent secondary hazard associated with this one. For example, if I'm carrying radioactive substance, of course, the radiation pose a risk, which is a primary, and it might create some kind of infection or something else, that would be a secondary one. Small question, where accepted quantity label exists, of course, it will be in a handing, it will be considered as a handing label, because as you can see here, accepted quantity is a rectangular shape. Now we need to discuss some important points about markings, how we can read those markings available on the box. You must have noticed many times. One is appear like this way, you must have seen, and one in kind of plain language, kind of like UN, where UN number, proper shipping name, name and address of shipper, name and address of consignee. So let's start with this one, this marking, how you can decode this. That's the major item which gives you a big help at the time of acceptance. As you can see, either we have a solid material, hazard material, or the liquid hazard materials. U over N meaning UN certified. This first digit represent packing identification code. Remember, packing identification code, whether this package is carrying dangerous goods in solid or the liquid form. The G, this alphabet, represent the container type, and when we have a container type, and when we have a container carrying liquid, it always have one more digit next to, and that will represent what type of container head is being used. This alphabet here is showing packing group level. This 3 in case of solid is showing the mass in kg, and in liquid is specific gravity, as you can see. Here clearly indicate S stand for solid, and if it's a digit like this, 250 for example, meaning hydrostatic test pressure in kilopascal. These two digits represent the year of manufacture, and as you can see, location of manufacture, where it's been manufactured, and the last indicates certification mark or manufacturer's symbol. Let me give you some more detail to decode this. Let's understand whatever the terms we have used over there. For example, packing identification code. Packing identification code, these are normally used. One stand for drum, barrel, three for jerrycan, four for boxes, and so on. Then second one is type of container. Type of container, as we can see. And here is A stand for steel, B aluminum, C natural wood, D plywood, and so on. Then container packaging head. Container head, if it is showing 1, meaning closed, non-removable head. If it would be 2, then open, removable head, meaning here the head you cannot open it in a normal way. You have seen many what do we call this, uh, small containers, food containers and all in the supermarket. So head you normally cut to take the inside stuff out. And the last one is packaging group level danger, degree of danger, like we have here. Packaging group level X and X. X packaging group 1, meaning for high risk, designed for high risk. Y or PG2 medium risk, and PG3 for low risk. Now it's easy to decode if you correctly use the above information. UN, of course, UN certified packing. 4 boxes. G, fiberboard. X, packaging group 1, high risk. 20, because this one is solid, so 20 reflects the mass. 14, 2014, S of course solid. DK, Denmark, and Muling 2502, manufacturer, symbol or certification mark. So if you understand these above information, this chart, or so, and how to best use, you can easily decode what is written on as a marking on the box in abbreviated form. Of course, The second, information in general, where the UN number, proper shipping name, name and address of shipper, name and address of consignee, you can normally read them. But this kind of marking in code, you can only understand when you have all this information to properly decode them. Now, in case of radioactive substance, we need to understand some more. What do you mean by radioactive substance? Radioactive substances produces spontaneous emissions of rays, alpha, beta, gamma rays, from their unstable atomic nuclei. Make sure unstable atomic nuclei. In physics, you can study in detail about radioactivity. Since they emit the radiation, of course, the radiation danger exists over there, and that is called activity. And this one is measured in a unit called becquerel. So radiation danger, which is called activity, can be measured into becquerel. The unit is becquerel, BQ. Remember, there is always be a single number assigned to a package to provide control over radiation exposure, and that is called transport index. Transport index helps in determining the category and segregation of radioactive substances with non-radioactive substances. Okay, and and keep in mind, for that one we need to follow the segregation chart, which you will read into the manual, and it will be studied and practiced in detail while you will be taking that particular kind of training. In the beginning, when we were looking for the list of DG for radioactive substances, we had Cat 1 white labels. Remember, either it has transport index 0 or less than 0, meaning very, very low exposure. It's almost negligible. Cat 2, medium level exposure, and it has a transport index from 0 to 1. As you can see, 0.1, 0.1, 0.2, 0.5, or maximum up to 1. Cat 3, yellow labels you have seen. Here, Cat 2 and Cat 3. Cat 3 is carrying high level exposure, and its transport index exists more than 1 up, but equal or less than 10. What does that mean with above information? That means maximum transport index per package must not exceed to 10. And if you read further, you will see most of these substances are being carried through air on cargo aeroplane only. So the total maximum transport index can be flown per aeroplane, depends upon aeroplane category, 747, freighter or 777. So it depends on the aeroplane category. Some useful hints let me give you. After above discussion, we came to certain conclusion. We have seen the four means of transportation: cargo aircraft only, passenger, limited quantity, and request accepted quantities, REQ. Here I need to give you some information, like in cargo aeroplane only, we need to prepare dangerous goods declaration. How it appears: like this way: shipper declaration, we call it, or DGD, and it has been filled by the shipper himself. Of course, this must carry UN proper packing. It must require marking and the labeling. Labeling meaning both labeling. Marking, you have seen the two part. One is the normal and one is coded form. Both must be available on the box. Labeling both meaning it must be carrying a diamond label as well as the square or rectangular shape label. Of course, no talk must be required for in this case. For passenger, if you are taking dangerous goods on passenger aeroplane, DGD of course must be required, meaning shipper declaration, and it must be in UN proper packaging. Marking definitely required. Labeling, in this case, only diamond shape label will be used. Handing label will not be, because the risk will be uh, mostly low in on passenger aeroplane, low risk item. Notok, of course, definitely need to be prepared in this case. Notok meaning notice to captain. How does it appears like? Here you can see the notok, notification to captain. This is made for non-radioactive substance. Similarly, you have available notok for radioactive substance as well, which will be used for cargo aeroplane only, CO. For limited quantity, where the risk is less, DGD, of course, shipper declaration will be required. It never, like we have read, never required that kind of UN approved packing, but packing should be in good shape, good condition. Marking, of course, labeling, diamond shaped label will be used. No handing label, special handing label will be required. No talk has to be prepared. And accepted quantity, there will be no DGT, because it will be very, first of all, very less quantity and very less risk associated with this one. So no DGT. It packing should be good, but the requirement is not as stringent as in case of the above three. Marking, it doesn't require. Accepted quantity only required the handing label, which we have read, and we have seen this label over here for accepted quantity. Of course, in this case, no note of will be required for captain. Remember, this superficial information will help to keep your basic concept right, inshallah. However, you must need to join institute for proper certification like Cat 6, Cat 10, Cat 8, Cat 12, and so on. These are all the different kind of trainings required in um, in a different field of cargo and passenger. I must say in aviation industry, right? And also keep in mind there are many topics related to segregation, documentation, handling, etc., which might be discussed into our next coaching session. However, those will be dealt in detail during your certification training. Hope to see you in next video. God bless.